Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Week 6 preview here in the ACSA Dynasty, found here on Maximum Football 2020. This is John J. Given on mic, coming at you with a brand new set of top 25 polls, as well as some notable recruits from the Phil Steele Top 100 that did sign this past week, and of course the list of games that will be shown throughout the week, and definitely some games to watch out for this one as conference play continues to heat up after the start of conference week that was last week. So it should be a good one, so make sure you smash that like button as well as hit subscribe if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. We are on the road to 1K as of recording on this video, and we'd love for you to join us on that journey as well if you love what you see. With that being said though, let's go ahead and jump into the current top 25 polls that were just recently released. We'll see what we got. So to get things started, we have the first, the top 8 of this ACSA top 25 being shown, and we have a brand new team in the number 1 slot as Coastal Alabama moves up 3 spots from the number 4 position after a 21-10 win against South Alabama State. They are now the new number 1 team on top of the ACSA polls, the first time that we have seen a change at the number 1 slot throughout this entire series, but they are not the undisputed number 1 team. Warwick is close behind them. They also jumped 3 slots up to number 2, and despite a 21-point loss to Little Rock, University of Alabama Hoover only jumps down to number 3. They might see that as more of a fluke performance potentially, either by Little Rock or Alabama Hoover, depending on how you want to call it. Capital of Tennessee moves up 2 spots to number 4. DeKalb A&M's up 2 spots as well to round out the top 5. And Chattanooga Tech also is one of the biggest risers of this week, going 5 spots upwards to claim the number 6 spot in the nation, with Southfield not too far behind as well. Southern New Mexico also jumps into the top 8 as well, up 4 spots. They now claim the number 8 team in the nation, as they are currently undefeated in this inaugural ACSA season. Next up, we have the next tier of top 25 teams in this ACSA top 25 poll, and definitely a theme that is being shown here is, despite the number 1 team changing, there has also been a lot of movement. Bluffton Tech is a notable exception. They do remain in that number 10 slot. They did not move up or downward. Not really feeling that victory against, I believe it was Northern New York was who they opened up against, but a lot of other teams moved around in the poll. Texas Catholic moves up 5 spots, Herbert Hoover moves up 4 spots, and Mississippi A&M, despite only a 9-point loss to Capital of Tennessee, they moved down 10 spots down to number 12. Not really sure what the thinking is. Mississippi A&M played a great team, and there's no shame losing to a team like Capital of Tennessee, so I don't know why they're being punished, whereas University of Alabama Hoover, they played an unranked team, was more of a blowout loss, and only moved down 2 slots in the process, so that's a little bit of a head scratcher. Wafa and Hayes College, 2 Native American schools, moved multiple spots, up 5 to 6 spots, taking those 13 and number 14 spots. David Crockett moves up 6 spots as they are still undefeated on the season, coming in at number 15 in the nation. And the Iowa Institute of Technology is the biggest riser of this week after a good win against Indiana Foreign, who was number 9 last week. They went on the road to play those guys and won by a final score of 23-21, and so they are rewarded for that by moving up 7 spots, now number 16 in the nation. And now we have the remaining teams from the top 25 being showed, and a lot of movement going on here, man. South Alabama State, Indiana Foreign, and Detroit State both dropped double digits, South Alabama State being the most notable of those squads, dropping 14 spots despite losing only by 11 points to Coastal Alabama, who is the new number 1 team in the nation as of this week. Indiana Foreign also only lost by 2, and Detroit State, they went and played Southfield on the road and only lost by 4, but all of those teams, losing close games, but they get the most punished, whereas UAH, once again, I don't know why, but they only fall down 2 spots despite a 3 touchdown loss. No one else, those 3 teams I mentioned, took that, but it is what it is. I guess, a lot of narratives being changed, I guess, from the course of this week. Oaksterdam does move up 6 spots though, as they are still undefeated coming out of the Big Pacific Conference and finally getting some attention that they deserve. They're now up to number 18 in the nation. And we also have 5 new teams join us in the top 25 poll, all of which are making their very first appearances in the series. Little Rock, thanks to their big win against the number 1 team in the nation, they are now up to number 19. Seattle is undefeated, they're number 20. The Ceballos Dream from the Super South Conference having a very quiet season, but doing some good work over there, man. They're now number 21. Meanwhile, over in the Atlantic Shore, University of Mid-Atlantic has been doing some good work overall. They're number 23 in the nation. And finally, we have our very first group of 5 team in the top 25 poll. The Clinton University Knights from the state of New York, representing the National Athletic Conference. They joined the ACSA poll for the very first time, ranked number 25 in the country. And they did it with a very impressive non-conference schedule, playing teams like Charlotte State, who is number 21, as well as a few other notable teams from the Power 5 as well. It is well deserved. Welcome to the top 25, Clinton University. Alright, so now that we got the top 25 update out of the way, it is now time to take a look at a major recruiting update. We had 10 top 100 recruits signed at various colleges and universities throughout the American Collegiate Sports Association. And now it's time to see where each of those players are going to go. Let's see where these 10 players are going to spend their next 3 to 4 years as student athletes at. So a couple things that I will say before I really dive into it is just that we had so many guys signed that I didn't want to put them all on one singular screen. So it'll be 2 separate screens being shown for this recruiting update, at least for guys that did sign over the past week. And also, Malik Wadru was the last 5-star player to commit to a university. The Warwick Rebels got him, a defensive back that was a number 16 overall prospect. He's the last 5-star recruit and will be going to the Rebels over in the Atlantic Shore Conference. However, even though all the 5-star guys are gone, there's still some very good 4-stars left on the board, including Gerard Talla, Matt Metlock, and Sam French. You know, a bunch of those guys going to University of Alabama Hoover in the case of Gerard Talla, and then Matt Metlock and Sam French, each signing to go to Central Georgia A&M. Those are the number 30 and number 32 overall recruits in the Phil Steele Top 100. And then finally, to wrap up this screen, we have Harvey Miller, who is the number 34 overall rated prospect, a 4-star recruit that will be attending Coastal Alabama University. After that, we have the guys that maybe didn't make as much waves with their respective signings, but still can make a difference on the field day one if given the proper opportunity. Tress Horton is another recruit that is going to sign with Central Georgia A&M, teaming up with Matt Metlock, who was the number 30 overall prospect. Tress Horton is the number 36 overall guy and is the 3rd commit this week alone that will be going to Central Georgia A&M. The Bulldogs really coming strong over the past couple of weeks. We also have Logan Williams, who is a linebacker and is regarded as number 41 overall rated prospect, a 4-star guy that will be going to Chattanooga Tech, which is the 2nd linebacker that the Fighting Bass have signed this season. And then we also have the Hawaifa College guys over in the Big North Conference. They get their first top 100 recruit. Kendall Davis is a 49th overall rated prospect, a 4-star guy that will be playing on their offensive line next season. So Hawaifa will be joining in the recruiting rankings as we're only tracking the top 100 guys. And then to wrap things up, Christian Smith and Alex Smith, they're not related, I promise you, number 54 and 81 rated recruits in this recruiting class. Each of them being 4-star guys, and each of them going to Bluffton Tech to boost up the future of the offensive line for the Fighting Muskrats. And so with all that being said, these are now the new recruiting rankings in the ACSA so far this season. The Super South overall dominating, but we are starting to see some non-Super South teams emerging. Most notable is Bluffton Tech, who has been able to amass 5 total recruits so far, so they have the number 4 recruiting class. Warwick's starting to come on strong over the past couple weeks, getting a 4-star back in the week 5 preview. Now this week, you know, getting an even better guy, number 16 overall rated prospect Malik Wadru, a 5-star guy that moves him up to number 8. And then Hawaifa College does join the list as well with their first 4-star recruit. They have the 10th ranked recruiting class, so you love to see that. It seems like the Super South Conference is still dominating, but the Big North, slow but surely, starting to close in a little bit. And then, of course, Warwick standing alone as the only team from the Atlantic Shore being represented within, just players within the top 100 signing at various schools. Warwick now has the 8th rated recruiting class, so far this season. And now it is officially time to talk about the 10 games that will be shown here on this channel over the course of next week. Starting with the primetime games, we do have 5 primetime games that are going to be happening over the course of this week. That will all be YouTube premieres. Starting with tomorrow night, we have the number 22 ranked Indiana 410 Whitetails coming up their loss against the Iowa Institute of Technology, now having to go on the road to play against the number 10 ranked team Bluffton Tech Fighting Muskrats in what should be a very good matchup to watch out for in the Big North Conference. Then on the very next day, we keep it in the Big North Conference where we see the Hiawatha Chiefs coming in ranked number 13 in the nation, going on the road to play against Detroit State Pit Bulls that are recovering from their loss against Southfield. We'll see if the Pit Bulls can get back on track or if Hiawatha will continue to improve and get to 6-0 here in this inaugural season in the ACSA. Then at Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we might have the best game so far of the season. The new number 1 team in the nation in the Coastal Alabama Waves going on the road to play against another undefeated team in the Super South Conference in the Chattanooga Tech Fighting Bass. Both teams that are undefeated in a game that could have major playoff implications as well as a major role of what happens in the Super South Conference as well. Not to be outshined, we have the Capital of Tennessee Bulldogs playing host to the Southern Alabama State Hyenas, who just finished losing to Coastal Alabama by a relatively close margin. They now have to go play against a number top 5 team on the road as well, playing now the number 4 team in the nation, who had an impressive victory against Mississippi A&M. We'll see if the Capital of Tennessee can avoid a letdown or if Southern Alabama State can get back on track and beat a top 5 team in the process. This game will be going down Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then finally on Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have 2 teams that are both looking to recover and avoid a losing streak in this inaugural season. We have the University of Alabama Hoover Panthers, who lost last week to Little Rock, going on the road to play against the Mississippi A&M Vipers, who are now number 12 in the nation, and lost a pretty tough game against the Capital of Tennessee Bulldogs. We'll see which team gets back on track, but this game will be dropping Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But now that we got the primetime games out of the way, it is now time to look at the non-primetime matchups that will also be shown here on the channel. Now there are 5 games, and all 5 games will be shown Wednesday. Don't know what time yet, but it will definitely be a Wednesday episode. The first game that will be dropping is University of Wisconsin-Kenosha, home of the Comets, going on the road to play against the Brooklyn Wolves, which could be an intriguing, Midwest Conference matchup, as Brooklyn is still desperately searching for their very first win in the inaugural season. They've been close a couple of times. They had some close calls with better teams. Let's see if they can finally get over the hump and get their first win this season. After that, we'll look at 2 struggling teams in the National Athletic Conference, as the Philadelphia Tech Black Mambas will be looking to get the Mamba mentality going once again. So they're only 1-4 and look to get back on track, playing against the St. John Jakeys. But we're off to a decent start, but have really struggled as of late, now at 2-3 here in this inaugural season. We'll see if St. John Jakes can do what they need to do in order to get back to 500 here in this inaugural season. After that game, we'll go out to the West Coast, where the Phoenix State Flames, who recently fell out of the top 25, will look to get back on track as they play against the Modesto State Buccaneers, who have one of the nicer uniform sets in the ACSA, but can't say the same about their football team. They're currently 0-5 and are still looking for their first win. Let's see if they can pull off the upset against Phoenix State in the third part of this 5-game episode that will be shown on Wednesday. Keeping it on the West Coast, we have some Rocky Mountain play ready to go down, as the Marbleton Cardinals will go on the road to play against the Syracuse State Lakers. Marbleton won week 1 against Anchorage Tech from the Big Pacific Conference, but since then, they're on a 4-game losing streak, Meanwhile, Syracuse State is only dreaming about wins right now. They haven't won a single game yet this season, so they'll be looking to get on to the victory column for the first time this season in this Rocky Mountain Conference matchup. And for the final game that will be featured on Wednesday, we go back to the Big North once again as the Lincoln Fighting Salt, fresh off their very first loss of the season, goes on the road to play against DeKalb A&M, ranked number 5 in the country, and certainly looks like a contender to win, or not only win the Big North, but go to the very first playoffs in the history of the ACSA. We'll see what DeKalb A&M is made of as they are the final game to wrap up the Wednesday slate of games that will be dropping in the evening. But with all that being said, that will wrap up today's ACSA video. If you enjoyed today's content, do me a favor and please smash that like button, as well as hit subscribe if you have to be brand new to the channel as well. In the meantime though, I hope you guys are all out there having a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.